Hello and welcome to Fibertown. This is episode 73, I think. I usually write that down and I forgot today. I wasn't sure we would be joined today, but yes we are by Miss Alice. She's been sitting on the floor and looking at me accusingly, so I wasn't sure if she would dignify us with her presence, but here she is. And let me just tell you, the welcome home was epic. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Emily, Chain of Fools on Ravelry, Fibertown with an R-E on Instagram. And this is Alice, my little Boston baby. And I was gone, my whole family was gone for 6 weeks, if this is your first time watching. And she plots. When we came back, she went nuts. But ever since then, we've been back since Sunday and today's Wednesday. She's been a little bit strange. She has not wanted to let me out of her sight. And from time to time, she's looking at me like, you're going to leave me again. Now, she did just fine while we were gone, but the way her caretakers got her to eat was to overfeed her and give her human food. They buttered her kibble and fed it to her by hand. She is so tubby right now. When you weigh 14 pounds and you gain a couple, that's a significant percentage of your body weight. I'm sorry, honey. So she just looks a little bit chunky, a little bit zaftig. But that's okay. We'll just stop giving her cheese and meat and butter, and with her normal activity level, she'll be back to her old self. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not good for her health. So, anyway, it's great to be back. It's chilly. Look at me. I'm wearing a sweater. It was in the mid-50s when I got up this morning. When I got up at the crack of dawn because I'm still jet lagged. First day back, I got up at 3:30, and it's been slowly inching towards 6 in the morning ever since then. So, yeah. Excuse me. Excuse me if you're wearing earbuds. I'm sorry. I am out on my porch for the first. Oh, hello! You brought me a toy. I'm out on my porch for the first time this season, and just dusty out here. It's strange getting back into the swing of things, and after it being gone for so long, my house didn't even look like my house. It just looks strange. So anyway, just doing laundry and cleaning up and settling back in. So let's get started talking about the fibery things. I have 2 welcomes. I want to say hello and welcome to Heidi in the Hills, who is from Cumbria. I believe you pronounce it Cumbria, in the UK. And she just got a wheel, so congratulations. And she was looking forward to doing the Tour de Fleece, so I hope that went well for you, Heidi. And I just dropped a stitch, so just give me a sec. Okay, it's all fixed. And I also want to say hello to Whimsical Meerkat, who is Danae. Hi, Danae. I know Danae. She is an amazing knitter and spinner, and she just moved to Texas, and I got to hang out with her a bunch this spring, so I'm sad you're gone, Danae, but I'm glad you joined the group and introduced yourself. Now, am I correct in assuming that you didn't watch any podcasts before and you're just starting to check them out? That's pretty cool. So I hope that is giving you some relief from your move and getting settled into your new place. The Summer of S. I think there are well over 600 posts in that thread, which is fantastic. Next week, I will show you the prizes for that. We have another month to go. It goes till the end of August, so keep it coming. And any way you can sell it as having an S and in your project is totally fine with me. That stemmed from me being in Spain most of the summer, and so many things you can craft that have an S in them. Sewing, stitching, socks, shawls. The list goes on and on and on. So take a look at the thread for a lot of good inspiration. I have at one point in my trip I got good enough internet to comment on a few things, and then, oh my goodness, for the last 2 weeks of the trip I was pretty much offline. I did get on Instagram a couple of times. I ended up paying for data overages. Oh, not good. But yeah, it's all good, even though it's not good. So at any rate, I missed podcasting, and I have some yarny things to show you from that last bit of my trip. You're staying inside. I'm not getting up. So yes, without further ado, let's talk about FOs. All right, there aren't any. Sorry. Although I have a hoe. I just finished it moments ago. And this is from yarn that I bought that I hadn't showed you yet. So I have a sock. Look at that. It is a simple vanilla sock. It is my recipe, except for I did 2 purl stitches down the leg, just because I can. And I love how they, ooh, sorry about that. Can you see that? How they look with the decreases? Isn't that cool? Right there. The toe decreases, they came out looking really interesting. So this is a yarn I bought in Granada at a craft store called Home Sweet Home. And sweet, I believe, was spelled S-U-I-T-E. It was a really cool store. You could touch the yarn. One of the very few places I've been to on the continent. I don't know how it is in England, but one of the very few places there that I could touch the yarn. The other was in a department store in Barcelona, where they had a merceria, which is the name for craft store. And that was in the Corte Inglés. They had a department for crafts. So they had a whole wall of Rowan, a lot of summer weights, obviously, but it was cool, and you could touch it. And I will show you one thing I bought there in the acquisitions section. So anyway, this is a 64 stitch sock. I cast on US 1.5s, 2.5 millimeters. And I got to about here with that size needle, and then I had to get on the plane. And I did this, the sock has been done in a week. So I had to switch to my wooden US 1s. What millimeter is that? 2.25 or 2? I'm not sure. Anyway, I switched, the rest of the sock was done on 1s. So I don't think that's a bad idea to make a tighter fabric in the foot. You know, for me, I can stay with the 64 stitches and it still fits. I do have to do it a little bit longer. I do have to increase the length because my row gauge changes more than my stitch gauge when I go down a needle size. And this yarn is, hang on, it's a French yarn. It's called, oh, I also bought buttons at this shop, but I don't know where they are. I haven't unpacked them yet. They're little hedgehog buttons. So this yarn is Fildar Phil Folk 100, and it is in the Comet colorway, which, as you can probably guess, means comet. And I think it lives up to its name. We have sort of these stardust looking things and this flash of blue light here, so very fun. So the second one will get cast on directly. Very quick knit with my bottom of the heel gusset, which hugs my foot, and I like that one. There was an Ask Fibertown question, and it was, what heel do you prefer? And so far, this is the heel I prefer. I haven't worn the Fish Lips Kiss heel that I've knit yet, so the verdict is still out on if I like the wear of that one. But I like the durability of this one, and I like the bottom of the foot gusset for the way it fits me, and your mileage may vary. Feet are so different, so you got to find what works for you. But I like doing the increases for this one too. I find it super easy to remember, and you know, I have my sock memorized now. This is my sock. This is it. So that's a hoe. Oh, Alice. Oh, Alice. Ah. She's got that on her face. It's cobwebs. Why do you have to go under the furniture? Is that really necessary? Okay, so that is that. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, I wanted to show you my Ekin and Content that I finished in the north of Spain out of loop hand spun because I blocked it. And the thing is, it's pretty big now. And I love that I can cross it around the back and tie it. I can even cross it around the back and then tie it in the front. So yes, it has maybe a 7-foot wingspan or even longer. I love doing this pattern. You get in this, I'll talk about this more with my Viagence, but you get in, I do anyway, with Martina Behm patterns, I get in like the Behm zone. You know, once you get the groove of that pattern, I've not found other patterns quite like hers where you just get in this zone of zen knitting, and it's somehow got, it's simple as all get out, it's garter stitch, but it's somehow got enough interest to put me in this meditative state. It's simple enough, but it's got something that just, I don't know, it's the Behm zone, you know what I mean? If you get the Behm zone thing, let me know, because maybe I'm just weird. That is not out of the question. So that was my Ekin and Content. And yeah, what else do I have? Okay, well, since we're talking about Behm, let me show you my Viagence. It's not done. I don't think it will ever be done because it's way too small. Hey, are you okay over there? It would fit Alice. It does not fit my 11-year-old. It certainly does not fit me. It's okay in the neck. It's been blocked. It doesn't lay on my shoulders the way it should. My shoulders are much broader than this. This is as far as it will stretch. I have bigger shoulders than that. I have normal shoulders. This is not normal me sized. You know, there's a schematic. I could have looked at the schematic. Did I look at the schematic? No, I did not look at the schematic. I did not measure. It's way too small. I got in the Behm zone and I just kept going. I just kept telling myself, it's gonna work, it's gonna work, it's not gonna work. I just kept saying it's gonna block out. It didn't block out. However, I love the fabric. Ooh, and you can even see it pretty well here. Look at that. I love it. It's my fin from Berchetta. I bought and washed and processed and spun and dyed Berchetta, and she's lovely, just really beautiful. And I have 4 more skeins. I think I might design a simple raglan sweater. Just use the Ann Budd sweater book and turn this into a sweater instead. So that is to be decided, but this is going to get ripped. Bye bye Viagence. The Behm zone is fun, but you got to pay attention to measurements if you are deviating from the pattern like I did. The pattern I did, but I used a different weight yarn. And now I'm paying for it, but I think it'll all work out. Excuse me while I adjust myself here. There was another cast on in Spain, and before I talk about it, I was watching my last podcast just to make sure that it went up in its entirety onto iTunes, because some folks have been having trouble with Hipcast, not putting the entire episode. So my entire episode was in fact up on Hipcast, so thank goodness I don't feel the need to change anything, which is always good. Change is hard. Where was I going? Oh yes, so I was listening to episode 72, Gone Native, and I heard myself say that the unemployment was 50-some% in Spain. And that is, I should have qualified that as in being in relation to a certain age demographic. I think it's under 25 or under 30. It's the younger people. There's crazy unemployment. Overall, it's in the low 20s of the whole population, which is still terrible. But I just wanted to put that out there, because say that half of the people in Spain are unemployed is incorrect. Half of a certain age demographic. Anyway, so I was talking in that episode about casting on the Hito Fu Day. and I still don't know who designed it. And I did, and I knit 2 repeats, and I'm starting on the 3rd. This is out of Louette's Sport Weight 100% linen. It's this pinky stuff. This is a provisional cast on. And I am just not visualizing this being completed. For some reason, I can't see the end game. I haven't touched this in 2 weeks. I think this linen is destined to stay in my stash forever and never be knit into anything. I just keep picturing this in wool and how the stitches would fill in and plump up, and not loving it in this. I think I would wear the finished product, but I'm much more of a process knitter, and it's just not there for me. I think this is going to get frogged as well. It's a lot of frogging. What else? Little Alice. Hi, little Alice. Is that it for my works in progress? Well, I do have some swatching going on for designs, plural. Nothing in the immediate future, but the process has begun. So that is exciting. At least one of those designs is very much inspired by my trip. My 6-year-old just checking in because it's just the 2 of us, and he's waving again. Okay, I do have my mitered square blanket back because I decided to put on the leftovers from my Ekin and Content right away and start knitting. There's not much to show. It's a gray ball of yarn. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. It's a gray ball of yarn with minty undertones. See that? And this is, I think it's called the Crazy Square Blanket or Crazy Blanket. It's not in my project page. I need to start a page for it. It's mostly worsted and some DK weight. I'm out of focus. And I don't know about you, but I have started to get a hankering for scrap blankets other than this one. I think I might cast on one of those sock yarn mitered square blankets. And I think I might start casting on for barn raising squares. I have a big stash of fingering weight leftovers. And both of those blankets appeal to me for different reasons. The barn raising because it seems like a good on-the-go project. It's small, and then you can amass the squares and arrange them to your liking and then sew them together. And the sock yarn mitered square blanket, for the same reason that I like this, it's memories of what you've knit and people for whom you have knit, and hand spun yarns, and it's just patchworky looking and fun, and it's fairly quick to knit a square. So long-term projects maybe for my kids when they go to college. So I think that's going to happen soon. That's sort of up and coming, but it seemed appropriate to talk about it here. I have lots of spinning to talk about. What did I do? What did I finish in Spain? Last time I showed you this one. Let's see if I can get this to show. Oh, yay! Accurately. Yay! Wow, that's the first time I've gotten this to look good on camera. Look at that. That is Muse Madness by Gourmet Stash. These were spun from an ounce of her poonies, and I got about 110 yards of a 2-ply. I spun this on my bead whirl, my Spanish peacock bead whirl, and I plied it on, I plied this one on my Tibetan Spanish peacock. This is my very first supported spindle ply. Took a while to get the hang of that. I will not lie to you. Let's very awkward for me to flick a supported spindle in a counterclockwise direction, which is the direction in which I ply. Oh, I don't remember the fiber content, but look at that. It's black merino with pops of fun colors. So wonderful. Really fun to spin. And I started spinning this on the mountain in Pinilla in northern Spain. Do you remember? If you watched that episode? So nice memories with that. And now I have 3 skeins totaling about 320 yards of black merino based gourmet stash. Trying to get these to come up better. This one is Maleficent. The one in the middle is Cat of the Canals and No One. That was a Game of Thrones colorway. Excuse me. And I have the Muse Madness that I just showed you. Oh, that's nice. My friend Sarah suggested that I get a plain contrasting color and knit these into a daybreak. I think that would be awesome. I think they're going to be striped somehow in a shawl. Yay, excellent. Now, the other thing I was spinning in Spain was, I think, like a one-off puni set that Kate sent to me that gradiated. I showed you those. They gradiated from dark blacks with blues and grays to grays with blues to whites with blues. So I have this went through a journey. Okay, let me just tell you the journey. See all those ties? Those aren't really ties. Those are places where I had to knot the yarn together. And it is no fault of the yarn. It is the fault of the tools. There's a funky place right there. It is the fault of the tools that I used and probably some user error. But look how pretty it came out. It's a very floofy 70 yards of a Navajo ply. Yeah. So I used my trindle to ply. I like plying on a drop spindle. I find it easy and it's a little physically taxing because you're, you know. But if it's just an ounce, I can handle that. I plied the darker parts very happily and was partway through the medium parts when I went to pick up my trindle and I just picked it up, I swear, nothing else. And this happened. The wee thing just broke. Now, it is a skinny wee thing, and I don't know why it broke. I'm thinking the dry air. This was in Granada, in the mountains. It's dry there. Apparently, the good news is that Trindleman on Etsy will repair these for you. I don't know if it's free of charge or not, but I'm going to give it a go. Because I really do like my trindle and I have 2 sets of arms for it. So I have an investment in this trindle. I've gotten a lot of use from it, but I would like to use it more. So here I come, Trindle Man. I'm going to talk to you soon. So the plying of the middle section was interrupted, and I decided to Navajo ply the rest of it on a supported spindle. That didn't go so well. I finished plying the middle part of it on a supported spindle, and I said, no. Between flicking in the opposite direction, which already feels awkward to me, and then the chaining with the other hand, and managing the spindle, it didn't look great. So I lost a bit of that middle section to ugly yarn. So when I got home, I plied the lighter part on my wheel. I Navajo plied it, and that's probably the best looking part on there. So one more look. This has been through quite a journey, lots of tools. Oh, look, there's some sparkle. That is errant sparkle. That's not supposed to be there. But this is a lovely spin, a lovely colorway. Soft and floofy. So it goes in my gourmet stash. One more gourmet stash to talk about. This is Maryland Mermaid. This is on her Stellar base, which is, I think, super wash merino and sparkle, some sort of sparkle. Look at that. This is beautiful, beautifully dyed, amazingly prepared, so easy to draft. Very, very good prep. Kudos to Kate. It's got so much sparkle. So much sparkle. I love it. And I think it needs to be a shawl. And it might need to stay a single. I don't know yet. I spun the first 2 ounces. This has not been washed, so this is a single. And it's got a single's energy. Not too much, not too bad. Look at that. Just look at that. In case I was going to keep it as a single, I didn't want to spin it too thinly. It could have gone much thinner than this. But I was leaning strongly towards keeping it as a single just because I feel like it's going to knit up into a beautiful stained glass effect if I keep it like this. I think it's going to be amazing. Amazing! And let me see if I can get a better picture of it. It's got pinks, blues, greens, teals, bits of white, and purples. Did I say purples? Yep, it's got everything. And it's got sparkle. Maryland Mermaid. It is a genius thing. So, this is 300 yards. So if I spin the rest of this as singles, I'm going to get about 600 yards. And that could be a very cute shawl. I'm going to sample, see what it looks like 2-plied as well. I don't think a Navajo, I think a Navajo ply would suit this just fine, but I don't want to lose yardage. You know what I mean? Look at that. Really beautiful, fascinating spin. I spun this in a few, I couldn't stop, in a few hours. So I just love it. And yeah, Tour de Fleece for me was not a really formal thing this year. I just, you know, I pretty much did it, and I pretty much, you know, my goal was to spin every day if I could. I might have missed a few days, but I got really beautiful spindle spun stuff. So I didn't plan any teams, but I feel like it was a success for me, and it was fun, and I hope it was fun for you guys. Okay, let's move on to acquisitions and ask Fibertown, and then we're all done. That's going to be about 40 minutes, I'm thinking. Okay, so acquisitions at Home Sweet Home in Granada. A kid. I found a fabric that I love, and I think it's very evocative of this part of my trip. I got a half a yard of this, and that red is more of a pink. There are actually 2 pinks in here. Colors are not quite accurate. But it's got a very Arab design, and I was so inspired. I love the architecture in that part of Spain. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing. Unlike anything that I had seen before. And it, you know, I'd seen it 20 years ago, but it was really an eye-opener for me then when I visited Granada. So I would love to make this into a project bag. And then I also picked up this, which I was just drawn to. It's not a typical me thing. Look at that, just little lovebirds. Let me open it up and show you. But it's so whimsical and cute. And look at those little birdies. Put a bird on it, right? So I think this is a meter. So what is that? Half a yard? A little bit more. So very fun. They will not be made into the same bag, but fabric is a nice little souvenir too. You know, you pay a couple euro and they don't take up space. So very nice. Excuse my leg. Okay. Alice is in the sun. Yay. I was able to go to Fiberspace yesterday. I met up with 3 friends there, and one was in from out of town, an old knitting group member, and we went to Fiberspace. And I went in with the intention of maybe buying some Brooklyn tweed. I really love the mittens that I knit out of Loft. Even though this yarn is quite fragile when you knit with it, these mittens have worn like iron. I wore them all winter in the polar vortex, and they kept me warm. They were lightweight but super warm, and there's no pilling, no snagging. They just wear beautifully. I almost feel like they improve with wear. So I picked up 2 skeins of Loft, and it's great for color work. I think these would make excellent end paper mitts, and that's been in my queue for forever. This one is Old World, and it's a very beautiful, since the color's not really coming out. It's a navy with little hints of red and white tweed in there. I love it. This one is Snowbound, and it's a beautiful gray, a really gorgeous gray with little flecks of black. So these are 275 yards. I want all the colors. The next one I want is Button Jar. It's a beautiful green. So I love that I got some of these to add to my collection. And that was it for my yarn buying. It's 100% American wool, which is also very awesome. And I can't wait to knit it up. I would love a sweater out of Loft or Shelter one day. Maybe on the Black Friday sale, I would do that. I was also eyeing the Lopi that they have, because I got a Craftsy class when it was on sale about knitting an Icelandic sweater. So that's in my that's a future sweater purchase. Not right away, and it would be a cardigan because it's pretty scratchy stuff, but I want to give it a try. Okay, let me grab my iPad, which sadly suffered a crack in Spain. And let me answer some Ask Fibertown questions. I kind of answered the one already about the heel, and that was asked by, let's see, who was that? That was asked by Taylor H. So hopefully I answered that, Taylor H. And I wonder what works for you. I know it's so different. Sock construction preferences vary by person. So okay, let's see. J. Coop. I don't know if I answered this one. Here's a question prompted by your destashing a drop spindle on Instagram today. Why do you prefer supported spindling to drop spindling? I'm asking because I'm having a lot of trouble getting the hang of supported spindling, but seemed to pick up drop spindling and the wheel relatively easily. Do you have any suggestions for developing supported spindling skills? I was the same. I picked up drop spindling fairly easily, the wheel spinning even easier, but supported spindling eluded me. I've talked about this before. It's the only spinning I was not able to teach myself, the only type of spinning. I needed, not even with YouTube, I needed somebody to show me how they did it and to troubleshoot with me, and that person was the Spanish Peahen. So I was very lucky to take a class with her at Uniquities. I don't know how much she teaches, but I was super glad to get in that class because I was able to buy Spanish peacock spindles without a scrum of people around me. And she showed me how to do it. And what worked for me, and I don't have one with me, was really realizing that to get good spin, I had to spin right off the tip of the spindle. I had to get, my drafting zone really had to be, well, not the drafting zone, but the beginning of the drafting zone had to be right there at the tip of the spindle. pretty much in a 90-degree angle. And then I was able to get twist into my fiber, which I hadn't been able to do before. It was very frustrating because it looks easy, but it wasn't easy for me. So I feel your pain there. So I would say take a class or hook up with somebody who is a supportive spindler and see if they can break it down for you. Not everybody is a teacher. I learned that firsthand when I tried bob and lace this summer. Not everybody can teach. They can be, I'll show you that in a minute. I might have computer problems. I better hurry. Okay. So I was going to answer some more questions, but I'm not going to because now I'm nervous. But let me just show you my bob and lace. And if my computer cuts off, then I'll just pick up next week. Okay, bob and lace. My mother-in-law's been doing this since childhood. She's not a teacher. Okay, sorry if my computer's freezing. She could not break down the steps for me. And she said, this is a really simple pattern. I needed simpler. But I was able to acquire some supplies through her and just